Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tasia. Today we about to be talking about some real life important stuff that people have been asking me to drop a video about. So let's just hop right into the video. Alright, so today's video is about how I got into my first apartment. Somebody wanted some tips on how to do it and stuff that they look for and is it hard. So I'm about to be answering all those questions for you guys today. Now first, what I will say is, like, when you want to move out, you have to make sure that, like, you have the motivation to do it, because the reason why I was able to move out in the short amount of time span that I did was because I had the motivation to move out. Like, I had that determination. I was looking every day for places. I was applying for places. You know, I was constantly on the lookout. I was on the lookout for places, and I had that motivation because, you know, at that time I was ready to take my life to the next step, take me and my fiance's life to the next step, and I was ready to step into a new blessing, and I was ready to receive that. So I had that motivation like nothing else. And I'm just telling you right now, like, if you don't have the motivation, the real motivation to get into an apartment, you will not get into it. And that's just being honest, you know. But some of the tips that I'll give you guys is, like, you know, make sure that's really what you want to do. You know, like, don't be 18 and you just want to move out because you want to do what you want to do and be grown and stuff like that, but you're going to struggle. Move out because you're ready to be an adult. You know, you're ready to actually take care of yourself, and you feel like you're ready to step into the next part of your life. Don't just move out because your friends are doing it or everybody at your age is doing it. Move out when you feel the need to move out. You know, I moved out at the age of 20. I did it before my 21st birthday, and, you know, that's great for me to say. Like, I'm proud of myself for that. So don't rush to move out if you don't have to, you know. What they look for in an apartment, you know, is credit. Credit is a big thing. And what sucks about when you're like 18, 19 is you don't really have credit. You know, you're just graduating from high school. You're just starting to get into the adult world. You're not going to really have credit unless you have your parents' credit. And sometimes, based on the way your parents' credit is, you may or may not want that. So you're starting off with zero credit. And I will tell you that bad credit is better than zero credit. I know people will think like, oh, well, if you have bad credit, you're not going to get anything. But like I said, some credit is better than no credit. So when you're in the ages of 18 and 19, building your credit is very, very important, which is why I didn't move out until I was 21 or 20. Because at 18 and 19, I was just building on my credit history and stuff like that, because that was very important. Like, I'll tell you guys that based off of the credit you have, like, if you have a low credit score, you have no credit, you're going to be paying a big deposit. Like, some places, the deposit might be first month's rent plus the rent. So if first month's rent is $900 and your deposit is first month's rent also, you're paying $1,800 the first month just for that 1 month, because you have no credit. When you have good credit, your deposit is probably going to be maybe $250, $300, you know, and then you're going to pay the rent, or, you know, you're not going to be paying as much. So keep that in mind when you're applying, that if you have no credit, you're guaranteed to be paying a lot more money than if you have credit. So just keep that in mind. Another tip is obviously the income. You know, most places you need to be making at least 2 to 3 times the rent. So like I said, if the rent is $900, 2 times the rent, $1,800. Sometimes they do 2.5, so like $1,800 or close to $2,000. 3 times the rent is going to be $2,700 a month. That's without them taking out taxes and stuff like that. So also make sure you have the income to do it, because you don't want to be living in an apartment and you're struggling really bad, where you can't have food on the table, you can't do some nice things sometimes, you know, you're struggling, you don't have extra money for yourself. You don't want that. So make sure you have enough income to be able to afford the place that you're going for. Also, I will say, don't be so cheap. Like, just because the rent at one place is $500, don't just go there because the rent's $500. Look at it, take a tour of it, make sure it's what you like. Because I took a tour of, you know, me and my fiance took a tour of an apartment. You know, the rent was cheaper than what we were at now. And when we went in there, you know, I'm just going to say the bathroom looked like a jail cell to me. It just looked disgusting. It had a very stinky smell. The neighborhood is not the way that I would have wanted it. You know, it threw me off. And it was like, for cheap rent, is this really what I want to live in? And it was like, no, I want something nicer. So make sure that when you're looking for places, you're not just going for because it's so cheap. Give yourself, have some standards. You can have some standards when you're looking for a place. I'm not saying be picky, bougie, but at least make sure you have some standards that you want. Do you want these places to have a dishwasher in there? Do you want them to have washer and dryer? Do you want them to charge you for electricity? Do you want utilities separate? You want utilities included in the rent? You have to think about all those things. And like I said, that's going to be based off of the places that you look for. Like me starting off, I'm one of those people who be acting bougie with stuff. And when I first seen the place that we were living in, actually what's crazy about it is, I didn't even get to see the apartment that we're in now. I didn't see it. We didn't see it until the day we moved in. And I loved it. I mean, you guys could kind of see a little bit of the background of it, I loved it. It was perfect. It was clean and it was everything. And it was like, it's relatively cheaper than a lot of places in Colorado, but it's still a very nice apartment, and I'm still close to my job. I'm still close to my friends and my family, so I'm not way far off the grid. It was good, and I just had to learn for myself. Don't be so bougie, picky with stuff. Like, have some standards with the place that you want, but don't be extra. If you're not about to get into this $1,200 place and stuff like that, don't shoot for that. Shoot for something $900, but have standards when you're looking for that place. Another thing I just want to say is just, having help is important. Like, I live with my fiance, so we both, we cover. But if you're trying to move out by yourself, the income thing goes into it too. Like, it gets very hard. It's really hard to live in Colorado. That's the state I live in right now. It's very hard to live in Colorado by yourself unless you're like making bank. Like, you're not living by yourself. That's just the reality of stuff. Like, you're either staying with your parents, you're living with a significant other, you're living with a friend, you're doing something, but you're not staying by yourself unless you're making a lot of money. So think about that. Like, think about if you're in a relationship, are you willing to move in with your significant other? Are you guys ready to take that step? If you don't have a significant other, are you ready to move by yourself? Can you handle that? Are you ready to handle moving by yourself? And if you live with your parents, it's like, are you ready to get out from under your parents' grip, Because when you live with your parents, you're not, unless you are paying stuff. I wasn't. When you're not paying stuff, it's hard to go from paying nothing to paying everything. So you have to really tell yourself and put yourself in that mindset of, is this really what I want to do? Will I have the motivation for it? You have to do that. Like, it's not hard, but it's not also that easy either. You got to have some money saved up, and I'm not saying you need 3 bands saved up. If you could have 3 bands saved up for the place you want, like, good, because you could get furniture, you could get groceries and stuff like that. But make sure you have enough money saved up where you're paying the first month's rent, where you're able to get groceries, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like internet. Because we haven't talked about internet, cable and stuff like that. For me, as a young adult, I don't really watch cable. I don't get on like Xfinity and start clicking on cable. I don't do that. I'm a Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, YouTube type of person. So instead of me paying extra money, like $200 for cable, what we do is Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and YouTube, and those 4 things, I'm good. Like, I don't, and even then, it's like I only watch TV when I eat. I don't really watch TV like that. So you have to think about that. The type of internet you want. Do you want cable? Then there's other things that monthly that people like to add on, because it's not just rent. You have to think about all those things. And I just want to be honest with you guys about it. Like, it's a process. It really is. Like, it will teach you. Nothing in this world is free. And when you were getting taken care of by your parents and you used to be like, oh, it's not that hard, and think it was nothing, when you start living on your own, you will see. You will see why your parents will tell you, you got McDonald's money? That's why your parents tell you that, because a lot of the times you don't have time to be sitting here going out to eat a lot. And that's another thing I want to touch on is you got to change your habits. Me and my fiance used to eat out all the time, spending money like it was water, eating out. You can't do that in an apartment, because that eating out money is rent money. That eating out money is utilities and me buying some little groceries, or me buying cleaning supplies, or me buying this for the house. You have to think, and you have to be able to put yourself, like I said, put yourself in that mindset of you can control those urges. Now, we eat out maybe, not, I can't even say once a week because we don't eat out like that. I could say maybe once every couple weeks we'll eat out and get some fast food or something. But we learned to cook. We had to start cooking at home, and that's another thing right there. Y'all got to be cooking at home. When you in an apartment, you got to learn to cook. Do not be sitting here eating no nasty cup of noodles all the time and surviving off cup of noodles. Learn how to cook. Go to the grocery store, spend a good $300, depending on who it is, $300 on groceries. You get dinner meats, lunch meat, get you cheese, get you snacks in there, and I guarantee you it will save you so much money, because and you get full off of it. You have the food for the next couple of days instead of literally fast food where you're eating it for 5 minutes and then that shit's gone. Like, no, like y'all gotta we have to learn to cook at home. And now that we cook at home, I don't even be thinking about eating out like that. Sometimes it's like, dang, I missed that, but it's like, shit, what we eating for dinner tonight? What we cooking? Like right now we're eating burgers and macaroni. You know, like you have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. And if you're not in the mindset and you're not ready to do that, getting an apartment is not the place for you. I'll tell you that now, because you don't want to get evicted. You don't want to be struggling like paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be ready for that. And I'm just telling all of you guys, I'm being honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat like, oh my God, all I did was this, that, and the other. No, I had a motivation for it. You know, I had to completely change my budget, my spending habits, the way that I ate food, the stuff that I ate. You know what I'm saying? You have to change all of that. It's not simple, happy-go-lucky, 1-2 step and you're done. No, it's so many other things. And I have to keep it real and say, if you're going to do it, you need to be serious about it. And you need to change the lifestyle and the habits that you're in. Because the money you spend living with your parents is not the same money you're going to be spending. That $300 you spend on clothes, that's going to the rent. That's going to internet. That's going to groceries. You know what I'm saying? You have to do that. So, like I said, if those are tips I just want to give you guys. Is just making sure you're motivated for it. You have the income. You have credit. That you're not being too picky, but you're not also being too cheap with it. You learn to change your budget. You sacrifice eating out and sacrifice clothes, shoes, stuff like that for the greater good of the house. And also, you know, make sure it's really what you want to do. Don't just do it because everybody else is doing it and you feel some type of way. Move in your own time and do it when you are ready. When you are ready, you know. But all right, y'all, those are some of my tips. If y'all want, I could do a part 2 on the video, because I got so much more I could talk about with just an apartment and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope y'all like this video. If you want a part 2, just comment down below part 2, and I'll do a little part 2 for you guys. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye.